I would like to say welcome. Thank you so much for joining us at our 8th Blockchain Central Davos. I can't believe it's been 8 years, Dave. When we first got here, we started off with a dinner, didn't know what we were doing. Frankly, we knew that lots of important people were here, but we didn't really understand the magnitude and actually the incredible just aggregation of people that literally descend upon this town. And so I want to say that it's great to have you all. You all have amazing backgrounds, get to know each other. This is bonding like I've never seen. This week is very special that way. I thank the GBBC team for putting this together. I know it may not seem that way, but this is no small feat to try to organize folks to Davos. It's always complicated more than probably it should be. I've got Dave Treat here, and we are grateful to Dave for many different reasons. One, he is the Chief Technology Officer of Pearson, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But also because he's been our board chair for a number of years now and has been a huge supporter of GBBC. And I'm going to now hand over to Dave because he is a Davos OG.
This is it's my 8th Davos. It is amazing how time flies. But I have a few of these moments a year in the GBBC context, and it's my favorite moment because I can't emphasize enough how little I do as GBBC board chair because of the amazing team. Sandra and just the whole GBBC team does an incredible job at curating a wonderful set of speakers. And looking at the lineup this year, it's amazing. Right, we've got former CFTC chair, we've got just an incredible lineup of public, private, NGO representatives. So there's going to be an amazing set of conversations that are going to happen in this room, and it's all a credit to Sandra and team for really attracting everyone. So just thank you.
For all of you.
Yeah, I perennially feel both proud to be part of the GBBC and ashamed that I don't do more. So we'll keep trying. But the team does a great job. My tip or trick, if you can afford it, planting yourself here, given the speaker lineup and who's going to kind of cycle in and out, is one of my regrets every year is I didn't spend more time just planted and to be able to just pick up on the flow of what comes through. So it is worth just if you have spare time and you're hanging out and you've got this is the place to hang out, to be part of the flow of some fantastic conversations. So thank you. Again, we can't thank you enough, and I hope everyone appreciates the hard work and the great lineup of speakers we're about to talk to.
Thank you so much, Dave. And we're going to go right into a conversation, which is fantastic. Take whatever seat you would like. Are we okay from a videography standpoint? Yeah. Okay. He's the boss.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about education and trust. And the whole world of education is just, things are changing.
They're changing in a big way. So I'm going to put a shameless plug. Is that all right? Okay, shameless plug. Pearson just dropped today a thought leadership piece that is all about it's called Lost in Transition. It's all about the just skills gap that we have now across economies and societies that's turning into a skills chasm. And it's driven by two things. It's driven by the demographic cliff that we're facing in many of our cultures, but it's also driven by the rapid advancement of the technologies that are necessary to fulfill the jobs of the future. And that gap is widening. The re-education that has to happen and the skills development that has to happen at every stage of life and learner. And we're very privileged to, we are a lifelong learning company. Our mission is to help people achieve the life they imagined through learning. And we have, K through 12 higher ed and workforce as our focus. And we're feeling that need to be able to quickly retrain, to relearn how to learn in the context of technology. And if we don't get that right, it just is going to make that skills chasm even wider.
So this is the conversation we really wanted to start with because we are hearing this over and over again, by the way, around the world. But particularly, I've been hearing this out of the U.S. The absolute, you use the word chasm, the gap is also a lot of what people say, between skills that are needed today. I mean, we're not even talking about skills of tomorrow. It is skills of today and what people don't have that we need for this digital economy. And frankly, that translates into jobs and economic opportunities. So from a Pearson perspective, you guys are obviously working on a number of different projects. Can you talk a little bit about how are you looking at the reinventing of education and to that, the workforce retooling, skilling that needs to happen?
Yeah, so I'm going to give Sandra permission to kick me because I'm going to get up ahead of steam, and you're going to have to. You got to.
They're like, stop.
Exactly. So I want to touch on a number of different angles.
Yeah.
So obviously, we do three things in our business. Right? We create and curate content. Right? Nearly every biology student on the planet is using Campbell's biology, which is ours. Tro chemistry. Like we create and curate content. Across each stage of learning. Right? Phenomenal IT skills training. Like if you took a Azure Cloud Architect class, that was us. Those kinds of things. And so. Across that construct of tapping into every stage of learning across every domain, that the ability to now add AI-based learning and support to those constructs is our focus. We're super proud. We've got product out of market. We've already have 5 million data points and growing. It's a month. That data point's a month old. I'm sure it's much larger than that now. But we have tools out there to help for where learners are able to get support to be able to have a personalized learning experience, to engage with the content, with the support of AI, understanding where they are in the curriculum. Being able to do some really cool things like ask the video a question and be able to actually interact with recorded video and then we're helping teachers be able to much more quickly create curriculum and kind of simplify the administrative aspects of their job so that they can then focus on the engagement part, and the engagement part being where the real learning happens. And so across that context, we are the thought leader around the depth of learning science that we have. We have this phenomenal learning science team that's taking our decades and decades of data. We have petabytes of data around learning that we're applying in this context to be able to use AI effectively in reshaping the nature of how we learn.
And to me, because of where you sit in the world and being the thought leaders that you are, I think anyone who wants to really have a fulsome discussion on that cross-section between technology and the emerging technologies, we'll unpack where blockchain fits in a moment. Hold your horses. But also AI and all of these other converging technologies. When you think about that as the chief technology officer, how do you even begin to sort of organize yourself? So let's start with credentialing, verifications, and blockchain, for example.
Yeah, so against that foundation of we're out there delivering content and courseware and training folks, we've actually developed a phenomenal set of AI skills training itself. But that notion of what do you do? Your transcript is useful, right? In the recruiting process, it helps someone understand, what courses you take and what you might know. But we purchased the Credential business about 4 years ago, which is the world's largest issuer of credentials. We just hit a.
So how many people know about Credential? I think a few people do. Can you explain Credential?
So Credential is it's our credentialing business. We've issued now in December, we hit the 100 millionth mark. And so if you pass the course, you get the AWS architecture certification, or you pass a English language learning class, we issue you a tokenized credential, which actually has a rich set of metadata that underpins it, that says, actually, it's not just that you passed this course or passed this test, but it's all of the richness of what skills are associated with that, what content's associated with that. And we're constantly expanding the data around that. And so this all is important in this community's context, in that one of the major gaps we have is for all of us to be able to bring our identity, money, and objects with us from context to context. And so holding those credentials in a wallet infrastructure in a way that I can choose what to share with whom and for how long and be able to use it in multiple contexts. Our data is used right now in places that we really don't have, touch points with. I was meeting with the CEO of Fragaman, a couple weeks ago, and Fragaman, the world's largest law firm. Anyone know that quietly? They handle all the visa processes. If you ever had to get a visa, chances are Fragaman helped. But if you look at like getting a visa to go work in India or visit, do a business trip to India, they're looking for proof of your educational background. Sorry, I'm looking at Tanvi. Sorry.
She's our India expert.
India expert. Proof of your educational background, and do you have these skills? And they're more every day upping the game of like, what's the veracity of? Can you really prove that you have those skills? And that's where we come in that actually we are this this trusted source of these educational skills credentials to be made available to be recruited for the right job, to be assigned the right piece of work, to be to help identify what should I learn next, to be able to help the CHROs of any enterprise basically say, how do I actually finally tackle the issue of never having great workforce skills data, having that data that moves with the person, giving that richness of the fullness of their learning history is for some of our big enterprise clients is turning into a boon for them to finally get that right, because it's been a huge gap. It's something that most enterprises are just horrific at.
So I think, the credentialing, carrying your credentials with you anywhere you go, that portability is an absolute holy grail, and we need to figure that out. So I'm glad that you guys are working on that. I think the next piece is, how does AI fit into all of this? And can you talk a little bit about the way you're looking at what AI really means from a Pearson perspective or from a Dave Treat perspective?
Yeah, so so you need to hear this for what it is, right? I'm gonna put my my CTO hat on. I'm looking at the future, like where are we gonna head next? We'll see, we can all have an interesting conversation next year as to whether how much is played out in that time period.
Luckily, we're recording, so we can verify.
Okay. Today, AI is doing two wonderful things, right? It's giving us much better insight for the answers to search and questions that we ask, and it's allowing us to develop content more quickly, and that's wonderful. But you're up and down the promenade, we're hearing more and more around the agentic computing construct, and that agentic computing construct of being able to take action on our behalf. And so let me use a non-education example, and then I'll use an education one. So from a travel perspective, when I book a family vacation, it is, sometimes I've got like two different screens up. It's for me, it's Delta, Marriott, Hertz, Open Table, and plus. And there's, I have zero ability to turn to an AI agent, a personal AI agent, and say, can you just, what I like? You have access to my actual data. Can you just put something together for me and actually work with the AI agents of Delta and Marriott and Hertz in order to be able to get to that state where we have, our own, personal Jarvis, or pick whatever mental model you want from Hollywood, right? That can actually take action on our behalf. It has to have access to our actual data in a way that's comfortable and safe and effective and private if we wanted to be. And so that notion of having an AI agent tapping into digital walled infrastructure, holding tokenized versions of our actual data, whether it's from the financial data, health data, educational data, the like, that construct of the interplay between that really confident, self-managed, secure, private data layer in wallet infrastructure to then work with that agentic computing framework, I think then will get us into the next wave of this, where AI agents can actually be more, can be that much more useful to us in a cross-context basis. So I'm excited for this, data foundation to support the next the next phase of what we go through, we get to in AI.
So when you're looking at how this is going to develop, it sounds great. It sounds very convenient. I would love that if someone just put together a whole vacation package for me. But from a skills development standpoint and sort of the jobs of the future, how are you thinking we need to look at just the way education is right now? So let's just take Europe and the US, for example. The schools are pretty rigid in what they teach. And yes, you need to know basic math, reading, and writing skills. But they're not really teaching for the skills that we probably need, and the jobs that don't even exist today that are going to exist in 5 years' time. So how does Pearson fill that gap? Where do you think your role is going to be in helping to fill that gap, especially as AI takes over?
Yeah, so we bought another business a few years ago called Fathom, which is an AI skills ontology business. So it has just again, an enormous amount of data to be able to associate the skills needed for a job to the job, and actually down to a task level. And so again, you need to have that foundation of, well, what skills are required, to be able to understand what effective is going to be, the effective outcome. And so what we're then doing is matching the credential data of who you are with the AI skills-enabled data from Fathom as to what job you could have and help you reimagine that, and then what do you need to get from here to there, whether you're staying within your current company or thinking about a move or a different career or the future. And so we've got some AI-based skills pathways capabilities to really open people's apertures. If you ask a college student what job they want to have, they really only have a handful, a dozen jobs in mind, and yet the jobs that they're really going to end up filling, they're being reinvented, but there's just this wonderful, wonderfully rich set of opportunities out there that most college age, university age students don't understand, and so we help do that as part of this as well. And so it really is the combination of your data and your learning history, plus the skills ontology to map a career pathway, and then the effectiveness of helping a CHRO create that that construct within their enterprise, for within a company, and then the individual, beyond.
And I appreciate that you guys are really looking at all aspects of that, because I don't know how many of you have either college age kids, students in your household, or no college-age students, but the anxiety levels, there have been a lot of surveys, and more surveys are being done on this. The anxiety levels of these young people about what they're going to be doing for a quote-unquote career is actually very different. Their perspectives are basically, I don't know what I'm going to be doing because I don't know what the world is going to look like. And it is anxiety inducing. And I think there is concern that unless we do figure out how to help create those opportunities, but also the skills for the confidence to know that they're going to be able to take on those roles, it's going to be quite critical.
Yeah, there's one part of AI that, now that I understand it, it's obvious to me, but I wasn't thinking about it at the moment until our team started to collect the data and the feedback from the AI-based tools that we've had out in market. And it is, have not we all sat there and said, I don't want to ask that dumb question. Like I won't. I'm afraid to ask that question based on the the environment I'm sitting in, and whether that's grade school, college, or last week in whatever meeting I was in, that notion of I hesitate to ask the question, and I shouldn't. One of the most powerful things we're finding is that having there are several universities that the professors are actually creating. They're taking their own content, they're customizing their own small language model, and they're creating their own, basically the professor's individual model that the students can tap into, and it wonderfully matches the fact that the professors lead relatively normal lives and go to bed just at the moment when the students start studying. And so the students. Gee,
that's surprising.
So that mid, I'm going to look at my team for their facial reaction. The 11 to 2 a.m. usage of our AI data tools. I got that right. Yeah. Is phenomenal, and it's changing the learning outcomes because they're able to ask the question when they have it. They're not waiting a day or two to go to study hours, or even during the classroom experience to be able to have the AI chatbot up that has been curated to the professor's content. It's informed by what it is that they want to teach. Their ability to ask the question, in real time when they need it in their own personalized learning journey. Like, this is powerful for any of us at any stage, right? I am doing this in my meetings, right? If I have it's wonderful to be able to tap into that. So there are powerful things that are emerging through usage, and that's what we have to get to. We all have to get comfortable really starting to just apply these capabilities, learning from them, and then with all obvious focus around safety, security, responsibility.
So I want to go back to the credentialing and there's no standardized testing right now. People get certificates. I think there's a few of those out there where you could get a certificate in AI, which I think, well.
We set those standards, so we're sorry.
So the standards, yes, okay. So what do the standards look like, and how do you see that evolving over the next couple years? Because it's going to happen fast.
Yeah, so we make the majority of our revenue, actually, when you look at it, as an assessment company, helping people prove what they know. Our revenue actually comes from the assessments, and the content.
That's right.
And so exactly to that point, so we do MCAT, GED, the nursing exam. Like, you can't be a nurse in the United States without having passed our exam. You can't go to medical school without having passed our exam. So we play a really unique role in this context, and we have a huge IT skills focus, and we're relied upon by most of the hyperscalers for certifying those IT skills as one very specific area of focus for us. And so we're actually defining what do the standards look for in terms of what is taking our learning science, taking our decades of data and setting that standard.
And I think that's critically important because we increasingly live in a world where, I hate to say it, but even LinkedIn has a problem where people fake their credentials, they fake their skills, and frankly, if we don't have standards in AI, this is going to just grow and mushroom into a bigger problem.
Yeah, I'm very proud to say if you go into a lot of people's LinkedIn profiles, they really enjoy putting their Credly badges up there. So
everyone should look into getting a Credly badge, huh?
You should, yeah. No, we have every type of badge is out there. It's built on the open badge standard, but we're widening that aperture. I'll give a shout out to another top focus of mine this week is the formation of the global acceptance network. Has been what we've been calling it for the past year. It's now going to be relaunched as IRA, AYRA. It is the protocol to enable the different clusters of credential issuing ecosystems, right? So think whatever blockchain-based protocol or whatever traditional legacy infrastructure-based protocol, we need to be able to not go down the path of everyone needs to converge to my standard for issuance of credentials, because that's a dead end and brain damage, and that business model doesn't work. But if we can have where the financial services community is starting to issue credentials, around digital currency or other, where the health industry is starting to issue credentials around health records, the 15 U.S. states that now have mobile driver's licenses tokens, all of those are anchored to a different network, right. And yet we all need them to be in the same wallet and made available in whatever wonderful combinations for the next thing we need to do. And so the IRA network is forming to create that protocol. So you can think of it as very akin to TCP/IP protocol, or you can think of it as the Visa MasterCard interchange construct. And
for the layman, who's involved in putting this together?
So it's a wonderful mix of some giant companies, so Accenture, NTT, Microsoft, and then the startup community, the blockchain community. So it's a true public-private partnership forming global ambassadors. I think So look for more on that. That is deeply relevant to this group's efforts because I shudder to use the word because it is wildly misunderstood and misused. But the integration and interoperability aspects of not having all of our networks feel that the only way to win is to get everyone on your own. This is the TCP/IP protocol moment for connecting all those ecosystems.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, which is it's great if there's digital credentialing, but if everyone has their own walled garden, this is a disaster in the making. So the fact that there is this effort being made, I'm going to put a pin in it because I'll follow up with you, but really appreciate that it's being done because it's critical.
Yeah, please join. It's a totally open ecosystem.
So if you didn't know about it before, you all should absolutely get into it. And we'll actually make sure.
Thursday, there's an announcement, so you can.
Thursday, there's an announcement. You are in the right place. Not here.
And Daryl, if I front run anything, sorry.
Daryl?
Daryl O'Donnell's the executive director.
All right, well, you're the one that gets in trouble.
Yeah.
And a final note, I want to end with, there's a lot that's going to be happening in the next year. Everyone's talking about it. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not just for blockchain and digital assets and crypto, but also for AI and all the myriad of AI sub-threads that we talk about. what is the most exciting to you in terms of all the things you could choose, what is the most exciting to you that you think is going to be developing on the education side?
I'm trying to pick something I haven't talked about already, but I'm, let me think about that.
Is it a product? Do you think it's the standards? Or do you think it's more about like global collaboration?
I'm very focused on, as we've already talked about, but I think most excited about breaking down the silos and the experiences. And I'll explain. My daughter graduated from high school last June. 2 weeks later, she got a call from the school, or an email from the school system saying, we're going to shut off your Google Classroom account. You're going to lose all your data. If you want to keep it, you need to move it somewhere else. The Common App, and for anyone with the U.S. college-age kids, right? The Common App is the first time a student's academic record, both qualitative and quantitative, is amassed. And the minute they're finished with the application process, that data is abandoned, right? And so I'm just super excited to basically take the smarts and capabilities that this community is developing around tokenization of identity, money, and objects, and the interplay between all three, holding it in wallet infrastructure to then it's not about capturing it. It's not about holding it. It's not about issuance. It's about the utility, like the ability to then start to make use of it in ways to make our lives better. That then playing out in skills pathways, closing the skills gap, getting people jobs that they love that are going to make them healthier, wealthier, happier. That's the goal.
Okay, it's about utility and scaling and standards. So thank you, Dave, very much for your time, and appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule with us this week.
No, thank you. And
Thank you.
just one more round of applause for Sandra and the GBBC team for the lineup for this week. I mean, just really well done. It was a great job.
Appreciate you. And the Pearson team, thank you very much.